introduction, I'm Dominic. I have a bachelor's in environmental science, a master's in sustainability and development, and I'm getting a doctorate in environmental science and engineering. So really enjoy talking about all this good stuff, which, yeah, I've grown to really appreciate and love it across my time. Our objectives today, we're going to look at agriculture in a historical context. We won't go too far back, but we'll at least go to get a general understanding of where agriculture has been and how we make a time push today. We'll look at the three pillars of sustainability, which is social, economic, and environmental, and how that frames our thinking in the food system. We'll talk about ecosystem services and the many benefits that they provide. And lastly, we'll look at the City of San Antonio's Climate Action Adaptation Plan, which allows us to go and provide more context to the work that we're doing and why it's important in terms of Cardopia not operating in silo, but us having to do this work together. So our agenda, we'll talk about human ecology. We'll talk about the different epochs, the Pleistocene, Holocene, and Anthropocene. We'll talk about CO2 and the impact of carbon dioxide on the environment, sustainable development, and then food and nutrition security here in San Antonio. Okay, so the Earth is pretty old, 4.5 billion years old. I love this graphic that NASA made. It's really great to understand the context in us as people and how very young we are. The Earth has been around for a very long time, but in terms of us, we're like the baby of the baby of the baby, right? In this large scale of being 4.56 billion years old. And our journey starts at Central Africa with one of our earliest ancestors, Homo ergaster, where 1.8 million years ago, we were nomadic. And the cousin to Homo ergaster is Homo sapien. Homo sapiens roughly appear, I'm sorry, I'm like covering the screen, about 65,000 years ago in Central Africa, and we were migratory, right? There was no agriculture back then. And so to be able to come from Central Africa all the way up the Bering Strait down into the North Americas, we were following our food. We were nomadic, moving place to place. And this paused 15,000 years ago in Southern America or South America. And something amazing happened. Our temperatures stopped shifting rapidly. We moved from what was the Pleistocene, which was very sporadic temperatures going up and down, up and down. That made planting almost impossible. But being able to have stabilized temperatures led to a new epoch called the Holocene, which is where we are. Actually, not even today. We're in a new epoch called the Anthropocene, which is the impact of humans. But about 15,000 years ago, let me go ahead and move this. Our climate stabilized, and this allowed us to have agriculture as a wide-scale practice because that plus or minus Celsius finally allowed us to say, hey, we can put stuff in the ground and it won't die, right? Really exciting. What this really gave rise to was the domestication of plants and animals, agriculture, right? And you start to see different types of domesticated crops grow: wheat, barley, peas, corn, coffee, sorghum, sunflower. And you start to see these grow in really specific locations all over the United States, or not the United States, the world really, in congruency with their climate. And this is really special because that allows us to celebrate our plants that are grown in very particular places in the world, right? You think of central Mexico, you think of corn, squash, and beans. You think of Japanese culture, you think of rice, right? So to be able to have that luxury that we can order whatever we want any time of the time, it's really a opinion to our globalized food system and how powerful that is, which is really awesome. I love the fact that we can do that nowadays, but there are repercussions behind that. All right, so the question to y'all is why do you think agriculture or farming was important to the advancement of humans? Yeah, you could say in the same spot. Yeah, we had that in person. Anybody else? More offspring? Yeah, we can have more to eat. Yeah, those are pretty good. Anybody else want to add? Good. Profit, yeah. Those are all really spot on answers. Um, it allowed us to do the birth of cities, which is two things that I want to say that are very valuable. One of them is it ended the nomadic period, right, where we were like following our food with these ice mammoths and saber-toothed tigers and all that to being very still. And we could be in one particular location, hence the rise of cities was occurring there in the land called Mesopotamia, the Tigris and Euphrates, the land between two rivers. As such, we were able to do two things really well: store excess food and feed people who are non-farmers. That leisure time agriculture is a piece of technology, and that allowed us to really move forward and rethink our lives, because now we could be stationary. It's a good thing, but I think if you ask the people I won't get into it, but early cities didn't really have the cleanliness that we had. Look at the Broad Street Prompt at Jon Snow and the rise of the cholera epidemic. Golly, that's something else. We won't get into it. But also allowed us to do division of labor, which is we could have people that were more specialized. We really saw this advancement that was occurring where we were to have, law, scientific discovery, poetry. That's powerful, right? So our because of this piece of technology, in leisure time, we made an advancement, right? And our technology looks a lot different. The best definition that I know of technology is tools plus human know, right? So it's not enough to give you a fishing rod. You got to know how to use it. My battery's dying on this. That's okay. I will. Okay. This was the technology of the day, right? And what a way to go and look at it. This spread of our Homo sapien and Homo ergaster all over the world comes with many challenges but benefits. And what I love the most is food. Yeah, I probably have to continue running a little bit, but in thinking about our food, the spread of our culture really arised. Our food and our culture are very directly related, and how we procure food, how we process it, how we eat it, how we develop our food systems plays a very large component on us as people and our lifestyles. And these dishes this spread of agriculture honors our tradition, our lineage. I was down in central Mexico in Veracruz, and they asked me where the leadership is. And after being there for almost a month, I said the leadership's in the kitchen. It's the abuelas that are cooking the foods and passing on our heritage. And I think about our food nowadays and where it comes from. It's a very interesting perspective as we think about passing on our tradition. These cultural foods that, because of the climates that were in the beginning, right, where you saw that slideshow of all the wheat and the barley and the rice, those were staple crops for that particular location. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but we get the option to choose. In fact, typically I go and I download this a little bit ahead of time. Let me see if I can pull this up. There we go, a week of food. And just looking at our food, I want to go through a few items that when we look at the cost of food, well, I guess it's important to give you context. Peter and Faith, they were the authors of this particular review, and they decided to see how average families all over the world were feeding themselves and how much it would cost. And so we're going to go and look at those pictures that are here. I'll go one by one, right? And then I'll ask you guys your opinions, right? Some things you might want to consider as you're moving through that. So it's Germany. Luxembourg. Where's the dog food? See, I told you I love my dog. France. I don't think I spend $341 on food a week. Yeah. I might. That's a week. Yeah, it's a lot, right? It's just weekly supplies. Germany, Japan. Man, where's the dog food at? Does anybody online would like to share your insights of the pictures and maybe share some insights or observations that you made while going through the pictures? Before I give it to the in-person people. Go ahead.
I said, were veggies less expensive?
I'm sorry, online you were saying something. Go ahead. Anybody else online want to provide any insights? Anybody in person would like to provide an insight? Go ahead.
I just got $1,200 to $1,600 a month on food. It's extravagant.
Even if
I don't know how I could ever do that.
like the items they bought, as far as like candy, sweets, and like junk food. But I read what's that? The store.
Was there a particular country that you're referring to?
Like North Carolina, they have like two large.
Yeah.
In comparison to the other regions.
Any other? Go ahead, ma'am.
In some of the other countries, how much fresh food there was there as compared to what I had put that in my table reading a book like and that's quite like North Carolina. And everything looks so fresh. Filming fans. And I thought that was per month, that per week. And then as you got into other countries, how we don't eat it, this is what $2.15. You got what each and a deep value.
One last person.
I noticed the difference in different countries, how we have a lot of variety, and rather than like this one, like that's be like only 10 items or so in the picture versus like the Australia and America, we had like over 100 different items.
Yeah. Anybody else really dying to say something before I move on? Yeah. Yeah. I think the packaging is also very kind of striking as you move through it. You move from high packaging to less packaging, higher processed food to less processed food. Just an observation. I think it lends itself to I think it lends itself to how we think about food, because here we are in our story. We finally came current, right, to where we were 10,000 years ago to current, which is the rise of the Industrial Revolution led to increased mechanization. And as a byproduct of that, being able to really advance the mechanized food system. And it's pretty amazing to see what we did. Anybody want to comment on how these machines and global companies help shape our jobs, our communities, or our economies? It's a very loaded question.
Centralized. Specialized.
Let's give you over to the people. Yeah, so
Yeah.
right there.
Yes, it becomes much more centralized and specialized.
What do you mean by that?
You do it at scale as opposed to smaller and more spread out. You need a way to move the product as well, which, you know, industrialization, refrigeration help.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. Anybody else? You wanted to say something, right? You were so close. Yeah. It did shape our economies. I'd implore you to, I can talk about NAFTA all day, the North American Free Trade Agreement, but something to really look at in Central Mexico, what NAFTA did for the Hispanic community there. But I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. You look at the rise in the mechanized food system, and you look at the rise of our population, right? And you see it, right, really advancing after we have this dip from the plague, this huge spike after the Industrial Revolution. Because again, the Industrial Revolution, as we said, technology is tools plus human know-how. We had a large advancement, like you said, being able to have more people because of agriculture. The same thing happened because we had the Industrial Revolution, this boom of mechanization and more houses and more transportation and just more in general. But it was a lot. And the mirroring of our human growth population and the rise of CO2 marry each other, right? Carbon dioxide, they're very closely linked. It makes sense, right? More people, more CO2. Pretty elementary to me. But the rise of CO2, it's not my words, it's the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, put out annual reports. This one is from Annual Report 5. So they put out their 5th annual report. I think they're at 7 now. I should probably update this. But their annual report indicated that by the end of the century, 2100, we will see on average 7.2 degrees hotter days, Fahrenheit. So imagine today, but being 7.2 degrees hotter on average. Imagine summertime being 7.2 degrees hotter on average everywhere, right? And yeah, those are some things to think about as we think about how CO2 and heat trapping gases are very closely related. I really like this article clipping that I got from over here. The New York Times back in 1988. It talks about this man here, James Hansen, Dr. James Hansen, who made a congressional testimony regarding climate change. Really historic thing to occur. He said, as I read it, the scientific evidence is compelling. The global climate is changing as the Earth's atmosphere gets warmer. Now the Congress must begin to consider how we are going to slow or halt the warming trend and how we're going to cope with the changes that may already be inevitable. I would argue that we should not be slowing or halting. We need to reverse at that moment. Because I don't know about you, I'll be long gone. But by 2100, well, I'm going to get there. High overview of greenhouse gases. As you guys know, or may not know, or may. Solar radiation comes from the sun, and it is broken up into 3 parts: infrared, visible, and ultraviolet. And it is going to be in a short infrared, which on the electromagnetic spectrum is shortwave radiation. is very powerful, right? You think of like gamma and X-ray, those are very powerful radiations. The problem is that once it hits the Earth's surface and reflects back up, it changes from the Earth absorbs a lot of that infrared radiation. As a byproduct, what's being reflected back out is a long wave radiation, which is not as powerful as you move forward on long wave radiation. That long wave radiation cannot pierce easily the greenhouse gases that are in the sky. Think about it like your car when it's in the middle of the summer and it's being bombarded by sun rays, and that it can easily get inside, but it can't easily radiate back out. And that your glass is creating this greenhouse effect, this dome effect that's happening. That's what's happening right now, right? I'll leave these slides here for those of you who want to peek through the science. Here's a small write-up that talks about it on the micrometer scale if you want to know more about the wavelength relationship. I won't say any more. Okay. I find it fascinating. I look at what the USDA has put out, and the USDA, this is the zone hardiness map. So it shows where the coldest temperature that it will be. And if you look at current time, present day, the coldest temperature that we receive in Texas is supposed to be 20, or right here in San Antonio, 20 to 25, let's just say 15 to 20 to 25 degrees. That's our coldest temperature. And now look over here at North United States. They should receive the coldest temperatures of like -30, -25, right? The USDA came up with this. I didn't come up with this, right? So if you look towards the end of the century, as indicated, we are in smoking hot temperatures. You look at our lowest, it'll be 30, 35 degrees. You look at the pole that was indicated here, the coldest temperature point is gone, right? It's completely gone. But the coldest will, Ellie, yeah. We're out of water. It's my allergies. That's why I'm drinking a lot of water. Let me chew on. Yeah. I am the chair of the San Antonio Water Systems Community Conservation Committee in San Antonio. And one thing we consider is water and how we're utilizing it and being aware of conservation. This is from the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. They put out these seasonal reports. Texas is all in brown. Drought persists in Texas. When I look at these seasonal maps year after year after year, when they change them quarterly, it's almost always drought persists here in Texas, right? I'm not telling us anything we don't know, but we need to prepare, right? We need to prepare about how we're going to be dealing with this. It could be looking and exploring new agricultural systems, new ways to grow that are not just out in the field, but aquaponics, hydroponics. It could be looking at how we're going to incentivize small farm production that's here, right at a local level. It could be considering workforce development opportunities for people who are going to grow food, or research and development grants, all that stuff. You look at the largest contributors of greenhouse gases, and yeah, a lot of it is making stuff, but I want to say that a good portion of that is 19% of greenhouse gases is agricultural and forestry. So like, even if we were to change the agriculture and forestry tomorrow, right, we would still only change 19% of all CO2 emissions out of the 52 billion tons of metric CO2 that Breakthrough Energy and the Gates Foundation have identified. Okay. All right, let's stop talking about bad stuff. Let's talk about good stuff, right? So in thinking about a solution to this, sustainability is a solution that we have, right? But there are many. I look at this model and I'm like, okay, how do we make this happen from a way that makes sense for a solution that is socially equitable, environmentally bearable, and economically viable all at once? How do we have a solution that's going to be nice to people, gonna make money, and gonna be nice to the environment. That's essentially what it says. And the heart of that is a sustainable, maybe lifestyle or business model. And so this idea of sustainability is about to meet our needs right now that we have, our human capital needs right now, and to not deplete the resources that the economic resources, the environmental resources, or the sustainable capitals later in the future, right? We need to meet them right now. So if you were to consider these three, environment, social, and economic, which one would you rate at the top? In the general public, like what would the general public say would be the most important after social? Do we need to be social? Do we need to care about people? Do we need to care about the economics? Or we need to care about the environment the most? What would the general public say? What do you think?
I think I said economic.
Economics, yeah, why would you say that?
That's not my personal opinion, but I feel like that's what most people would say would be the most important to everything going on right now.
Money, right?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Are you asking what was the general public as in like mostly everybody, or are you talking about what would the companies be asking? Because I feel like the average everyday person would put social, but I would say like companies would put economic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. This answer changes on your personal value system. There's no wrong or right answer. The idea is that a sustainable solution will never value one of these capitals over the other. It will never say that society is better than the economic viability, or that the environment is better than economic viability. You have to have these all merge at once. And I love Venn diagrams. I really enjoy this one. Oh my gosh, models. You look at environmental, that's resource stewardship. You look at economic, profit, cost savings, R&D, social, standard of living, education. You see the blends of these occur in things like social environmental, that's environmental justice. That's natural resource stewardship. You look at economic environmental, that's energy efficiency, subsidies, things that are like your light bulbs when you change them into high efficiency light bulbs, like your cars, where you're choosing to get longer fuel miles standards. Social and economic, fair ethics and business rights, right? Those are all things that are critical. Okay. In our Earth, these resources that they accumulate for us are very valuable. It does all these things for us for free. And there is a cost to them. There is a cost to soil formation. There is a cost to food. There is a cost to education and habitat, erosion control. There is a cost to all of this stuff. And through the degradation, the anthropogenic impact, the human impact, anthro means human, right? And the anthropogenic impact of us, we do deplete these resources, but there's hope to that, right? You look at, post-World War, when really we would see Earl Butz, who coined the phrase "go big or go home." Some people say "grow big or go home," but we saw the mechanization and repurposing of wartime effort material into agriculture. We saw materials and inputs being transformed into fertilizers, pesticides, things along the lines. And we ask ourselves, are we going to be in the safe operating space as we move towards this? I love this diagram by Johan Rockstorm that indicates where are we in acceptable limits. This was back in 2014. This is in 2022. You look at some of where we are not in a good spot. You look at green water, novel entities, biochemical flows, atmospheric aerosols. This used to be pretty bad until the Kyoto Protocol that limited chlorofluorocarbons. Yeah. So I get so passionate when I talk about the history of what we've done in policy. So policy does have an effect on all of this, right? Because ozone depletion all by itself used to be something that was really bad until the Kyoto Protocol. We came through as nations and we started to regulate carbon fluorocarbon, CFCs. But in the new age, there is hope. There are new technologies that are coming with the advancements of automation, with the advancements of monitoring, amazing systems that even are here present at Cardopia. I don't water the garden. The computer waters the garden, right? There's the weather machine that sits right there that is constantly reading data that talks about sunburn time, talks about barometer pressure, talks about how much rain is occurring. That's constantly speaking with our systems that are here. We don't water those greenhouses. We don't water the chickens. Technology, right? Tools plus human know-how. So it's very promising to think about this stuff. And I like to think that Cardopia does the Sustainable Development Goals, which is what the UN had said. There are 170 plus nation partners coming together and adopting the Sustainable Development Goals as a framework for us forward. And the four that I believe really resonate with Cardopia and the work that we do are zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, and goals for the partnership. We need to have partnership to achieve our goals together. So what are we doing here in San Antonio? Because let's talk about good, right? I know it may seem that there's a lot of challenges that are here, and there are. But at least San Antonio is taking a first step in the adoption of the SA Climate Ready. It's a plan that you can find online just type it in, SA Climate Ready. And this is San Antonio's first climate action plan that allows us to consider CO2 and how we're addressing that at a local level. About the plan, it started in planning in December 2017. They brought in many different stakeholders, educational, NGOs, government, neighborhood associations, police, religious sector, trade associations, public utilities, all of these stakeholders coming together, over 90, talk about what is our combined group, what is our responsibility in thinking about how we're going to address this climate that is changing right here in San Antonio. As a portion of that, they had these guiding questions. What is San Antonio's shared responsibility for global climate change? How can we reduce San Antonio greenhouse gas emissions to align with keeping the global temperature to increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius? How can we prepare San Antonio for the projected impacts of climate change? And then how do we ensure that our response is just and equitable for all? Those are some loaded questions. And their goal was to set out in that the municipality itself, the government itself, the city of San Antonio, would reach carbon neutrality by 2050. That's hard. You have business as usual, right? And remember, this is nothing and compared to the world. The world was, does anybody remember how many billion tons it was, metric billion tons? I put it on the slide that showed it. It's 52 billion tons globally. San Antonio, in business as usual, produces about 20 million tons. That's nothing compared to 52 billion tons. So work to do, but they came up with this strategy. They had mitigation strategies and adaptation strategies. Mitigation strategies, these are things that the city wanted to do. Talk about transportation and energy consumption, advance the circular economy. They wanted to look at biodiversity and healthy ecosystems. They want to educate people. They are pulling a policy recommendation in front of us to say these things are important. And this is for mitigation, which reduces emissions and is stabilizing the levels of heat trapping gases. Did I do that? Gases in the atmosphere. Pretty cool. The other one is the one that I'm most interested in is, oh, I see somebody's drawing on this. Yeah, I was like, how did that happen? Somebody's drawing on it. That's okay. I draw on it too. That means they
I
wanted
didn't
to be-
mean to do that. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. I love drawing on it.
We always have a student who
Yeah.
draws.
I only have about 3 more slides left. So we're near the end of our conversation today. The one that is interesting to me is our adaptation strategies, which is dealing with CO2 and heat that is already here right now. And the one that I love, so increase health systems, right? Infrastructure, resilience and awareness. But the one that I think is really important is protect the local food system. That's what we're doing here today. That's what we're having a conversation on. And if you look at the Climate Action Adaptation Plan, if you look at their goals, we're doing this stuff right now. Like, you guys are a part of it. You guys are a part of number 37, Urban Agricultural Training Program. That is the work that we are doing right now. So just you being here is contributing to this larger implication, because the idea is behavior change right down the line. Just that one. But you look at other things: controlled environmental agriculture, greenhouses, aquaponics, microgreens, mushrooms, all those things that you guys will be learning in this class. You look at local crop diversification, because sometimes abuela, they know what to grow, right? And we should lean in on even our indigenous knowledge, who have planted varieties for years and years, generations and generations, centuries way before us. We should lean into our practitioners, especially as we're thinking about, our food security here in San Antonio. Oh, I love this one right here at the bottom. It says, support and enhance the community garden network. We get a lot of these that are here. We're not going to be able to generate a state of the food system report. That's not the work of Gardopia. But maybe at a municipality, they prioritize something along the lines. It comes with its challenges, behavior change, it's costly. There's a lot to do that's here. But I think this one is interesting. Not only is this modeling more complicated, in many cases, good data doesn't even exist yet. Golly, that's the city's word, right? To how to assess and evaluate and implement new policies, programs, and technologies, right? All right, it's my last slide. Then I have slides that I typically will reference at the end, but those are if there's any questions that I can. So my thoughts on the Climate Action Adaptation Plan is it's a good, strong policy recommendation. There's no teeth to it. It's not a law, right? It's not a regulation. Yeah, just the policy. I think it's really bold for them to go and make this claim. I really hope that we can get to carbon neutrality by 2050 and accomplish all the good things that are in protect the local food system. The city actually did fund, for those of you who lived in San Antonio about 5 years ago, maybe 4, there was a massive heat spike in the middle of the summer, and CPS Energy had excess revenue. And because of that, I believe the council person at that time was Anna Saldival, who was able to reallocate that funding of excess revenue to fund community grants for climate initiatives, for the CAP initiatives. Amazing, right? Cordovia was able to put in, and businesses just all around, were able to go and start community gardens. We're able to go and, increase their R value of their home through increased insulation. Thank you. I'm brain farting. People started composting initiatives, and we have one right over there, right? With Mission Compost, right? Like, these projects are here, but the city prioritized it, right? So we have to continue to fund the Climate Action Adaptation Plan. I love this line at page 42. I've read it a few times. Achieving resiliency at this scale requires locally inspired adaptation strategies that work for the population. Oftentimes, community members are told this is what you have to do. But in order for the solution to really work, we need to lean in on people, because the solutions have to be our own solutions, our community's own solutions. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I don't, right? That's why going through and having our engagements where we're giving real feedback and localized solutions really matters. Inclusive survey design, and then lastly is collective impact. So I think that this is the problem ultimately. I think that we value economic viability. Remember sustainability? I think we value economic viability as a general public, and it makes sense why. Money is very important. I think we need to raise awareness of the environmental repercussions, the ecosystem benefits, those things that we get at no cost and free by the environment, like air purification, erosion control. I think we also need to value our people more, our fellow neighbors, and come from a place of empathy when we're thinking about all of us here, but our neighbors that are outside. We have people that are houseless right outside of Gardopia. You know, I grew up down the street from here. I was baptized in St. Patrick's Catholic Church down the street. My mother was a teacher at St. Philip's College for years and years. I went up and down the street, you know, and as I think about that, that is who climate ultimately affects first. Resources are very limited. We get it. Money is always tight. One of the, and then organizations tend to operate very single-minded. They tend to do this where they're thrown in different directions and they're doing all their own things, but they do it in silo. Yeah. What if we can all do our own independent thing? The San Antonio Food Bank does food distribution and nutrition education. Gardopia Gardens teaches people how to grow healthy food. Bear County AgriLife provides the best quality research from Texas A&M University, right? There are all these people that can keep doing their own individual parts and still move the collective needle in the same direction. Because what happens when we're fighting each other over the same concept is we're duplicating programs all the time. And if we're duplicating, we're never really innovating, right? We're never really stretching our mind outside to think about our most pressing issues. So I think the choice is up to you. Are you going to choose to be moving in all different directions, not working in this collaboration? Or you think about goal number 17 of the Sustainable Development Goals to strengthen the means of implementation or revitalization of the global partnership for sustainable development. I would hope that we would continue to move in the same direction together. Yeah. So that's that. I'll open it up. That's the end of my lecture. I'll open it up to any questions or comments you may have.
How important is it for everybody to learn how to compost? I know they say we throw away so much food and stuff, but
Yeah, I think that composting, that's typically the example that I'll give for like something that's really sustainable. Composting is good for the environment. It's economically it's socially variable. The composting business that does it really well is environmentally variable. From the social perspective, we're not adding to the trash, right? Which goes to the landfills. From the economic perspective, you're a composting business and you sell it, you're literally making money. Or if you do it at home, you don't have to spend that money. Do I think composting is important? I'd almost argue that it's one of the most important that we should do, right? Is keeping those, people say it's trash, but there's just inputs and outputs. And the mindset, unless it's like toxic waste, the mindset is what will you do, right? How can you change the mindset and say, instead of paying for, you can pay Gardopia $200 for us to go deliver soil to your home. We'll do it. But what if you were to do that at home? Start a little compost pile on your side where you put your fruits and vegetables and you continue to put those inputs that are high in fertility right back out. This property, and I'll talk about it in design and construction, even this property has high composting right over there. None of that organic matter ever leaves Gardopia. It stays right over here and recirculated back into the garden. I'd be upset if we could not model that here, right? We'll talk about it more in design and construction next class. I teach 2 classes, this one and the next one, and then I'm no longer teaching. Any other questions?
How effective is the city of San Antonio composting? Do y'all know?
Say that again.
How effective is city of San Antonio compost?
So they do I know about their mulching initiatives, not their compost. I think that goes up to Atlas Organics, if I'm not mistaken.
The green bin. The green bin.
Yeah, okay. Oh, does that go to the city or Atlas?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it goes to the city.
Okay. I can only talk about their mulching. And their mulching, they have a lot of mulch. So when they go and they pick up trees, they'll have like brush collection and pickup where it's just like branches are here and they go and they shred them down. Like that mulch, I think is pretty good because Gardopia had to pay for all that mulch. We distribute that mulch out to community gardens, and that's just a really good input. Like you guys are participating in that. In terms of the green bin, I never really followed it, but I will. Yeah, I would love to know what happens, after the green bin and how that comes back to us, hopefully. I thought I went through Atlas Organics, but go ahead.
Her question, I think what you were asking, how effective is it?
It's extremely effective. I actually went to a couple cities this summer where there's no composting program and there's no green bin.
For sure.
There's no tree collection.
Yeah.
And so we were very lucky because our city does so good at really utilizing all that organic waste, and we are recycling it back into our city. I was in Las Vegas. They don't have such programs. So
Yeah,
every tree that is chopped down, it goes into the landfill.
yeah, I mean, that's a huge,
Yeah.
the fact that we even have the green bin
Right.
is something to consider. So thanks for pointing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
don't have to compost at home because we do it.
Yeah, we do. But what happens thereafter, right, is I guess, well, I got to learn more about that. Yeah. Comments, questions?
Are there cities or larger communities that are like working at scale to make some of the changes that like San Antonio's looking to as a model, and that you guys are studying as a model, like that are going to, I don't know, policy based or just like community efforts?
Yeah. I can think about at least one of the goals that was outlined in the many things that were there was the state of the food system report. That was like goal number 32 or something. Austin did one, right? And awareness drives concern, concern drives action. So in thinking about that, you know, they at least have a report. I think each city is doing their own components of what they can do. Is there a model city that's like, you know, the most sustainable? I don't think so. But I do think as a whole, as long as we prioritize these efforts that Sherry was reflecting on, whether, you know, it's up in some place like Denver where they have, you know, a massive composting program, where you have, I would say, more urbanized environments that have more governments that can draw down larger federal grants. You know, I see a lot of that with urban tree canopy coverage, which is happening in the urban core. Any come to your mind? I mean, I think about, you know, New York too, where they have a large rooftop garden initiative. That's really cool, right? Maybe not community gardens, but large, you know, rooftop initiative. I think of Atlanta, which is often referred to as Aglanta. They have like a city department that focuses on urban agriculture, right? There are these little bits and pieces that are all over the nation, and it's really it's exciting to see that stuff. Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Santa Barbara when I went. They not only have where they have little stations in the roads where you can actually pick up compost and mulch, and you can drop off leaves. And so, yeah. And so you can just back your car up with Prius, truck, whatever you have, and you can pick up things that are provided by the city in your car and then drop off. So they're really pretty efficient. There's stations all over the city.
Is that the California city that you were saying produces it?
No.
What is
I don't remember the city name, but I went to go visit it. I'm super bad with names. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dom.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll pass it right back over to Sherry. Thank y'all so much. I'll see y'all next week.
Awesome, y'all. So I just am going to do a little bit of housekeeping. For those of you who I do not call your, or if I call your name, I still need to make sure that I have your email addresses correctly. Every time we're here in person, we will always be here in person, whether it's raining, whether it's 115 degrees outside. We love to feel the elements. Sometimes people can't handle it well. And so we are here in person. I truly am a believer in hands-on learning and in-person learning. We know that screen time is not good time. But for those of you who are online, this is the exception, right? Because you're learning. And so we want to encourage you to come out and experience the sweating, the colds, and get some thicker skin going on. But I really quickly, so I didn't get your email. Patricia, what's your email address, Patricia? If you can hear me, Patricia, go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you my personal email because I don't know my work email. Is that okay?
Perfect.
It's red, Jeep, JEEP, LDY @yahoo.com.
And then that was Red GJ or just J?
JEEP.
Okay.
As in Jeep.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Awesome. And then Jackie online. And then that's it. And then I'll start talking again. Jackie.
Hey,
Go ahead. Oh, sorry. What's your email?
GUAYO.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Jackie, if you could drop it in the chat. Thank you. Yeah. And then Melissa A, if you could drop yours also in the chat, that'll be super duper helpful. Just really quickly, y'all, this class, we're gonna wrap it up here, but please be expecting a link from the info@Gardopia Gardens email. It's gonna link you to Teachable. That's where we're gonna upload all of our recordings. We usually do send out and post some articles, some scientific research articles for you to read, or some really good articles talking about the topics that we were talking with our class topics. And so you do not have to read those. However, they're really good to always read. I want to encourage you all to keep reading because reading is the best way you can learn sometimes and get away from the real world sometimes. And anyways, thank you for dropping your email. The other thing I will be sending out is our syllabus if you want to take a look at that. And then the other thing that we'll be posting, if you want to take a look at your end of year project, just a kind of rubric, that'll be also posted as well. So congratulations on being students tonight. For those of you who have not been a student in a while, I want to encourage you, stick with it. Stick with it, and you will feel so accomplished after this class, after all these classes. Hi, Mr. Wilson. Oh, it's my favorite teacher. I mean, I have many favorite teachers, but Mr. Wilson, if y'all can see him, shout out to him because he is an absolute amazing teacher. And he gardens in style. He has like a bunch of gardening hats. I can't compete with him sometimes. He's just way too cool. And so, Mr. Wilson, I will also connect you to our Teachable account. And then Jackie, thank you so much for your email. And Melissa, thank you too. If y'all don't have any more questions, for the group that's here, if y'all would like to go on a quick tour with me before the sun goes down, I'm going to go on a quick tour. I'm going to hang back online for those of you who are online for if you have any questions. But other than that, y'all, I will see you all next week, and I hope y'all get excited.
For those of y'all that are in person, I do have just one thing to do. I think it's important to know our neighbors, right? The people who are around us. So if you
Bye, thank you.
the people that are around you, maybe 3 or 4 people, just introduce yourself to who they are. And the prompt that I have is